Welcome to Lightroom Photography and my experience with the Fuji XT20. What can I say? Well, Fuji is a company that's been in the photography industry for a very long time, and just in the recent 6-7 years have created a series of cameras which impressed the world. Starting with the Fuji X100 series, the X100, X100S, X100T, X100F. It has gained a lot of attention and many people now are switching from their Canon cameras or Nikon cameras to the smaller and more modern Fuji cameras or Sony cameras. And I love photography and I love all about it. The gear is a part of it, and I'm also looking into that nearly every day. What's new, what's coming, what's there available maybe to check out. And I had the Fuji X100T. I bought it used and it was a strange experience, and I thought this is not how it should be. Many people talk great about it and my experience wasn't, so I thought I can't leave Fujifilm like this. I have to try another Fuji camera. So I rented the Fuji XT2 for a weekend with 2 great lenses, and I couldn't really get the camera, the character, the personality of the camera in that weekend. And I didn't have an opinion about it. So I saw on eBay the Fuji XT20 with a 35mm f2.0 lens. And I thought I will give it a try. I buy it, and here it is. I think it's a really beautiful camera. It's well designed. I really like the colors. If you have I have a tripod, and this looks like it was built together. The design looks like it's from the same person, and it's a really sexy camera. It's small, it's lightweight, and it's one of the most, I feel most sympathy for this camera from all cameras available, because I feel that Fuji is giving so much, has put so much into it and put a very small price tag on it. If you look at what this camera gives you, you have a tilt screen, you have a touch screen for the autofocus, and which really works nice. You have facial tracking, so the camera sees a face and follows that face. And focuses on that face. You have the sensor from the XT2, from the premium Pro model from Fujifilm, the high-end model. The same image quality than the XT2, and the XT2 is nearly the double the price of this camera. It costs nearly 2 times like this camera, and you get the same image quality, the same sensor. You have a really light weight, you have a nice, well-designed camera, nice knobs, and you have 4K video. You have, this camera gives you so much. You have some other features like double exposure in camera, great JPEGs and RAWs, the acros, the film simulations. So I feel, just from the outside, I feel Fuji has put so much into this camera, so much to like, and put a rather small price tag on it. Now, I got the 35mm 2.0 lens on it. It's equivalent to 50mm on the full frame camera, which is my favorite focal length. And so I bought it, and I want to give you my experience with it. Now, I think the price is very low for what it gives. And now, what is really interesting is that I haven't used this camera much, and this is strange, and I didn't expect that, because I was looking forward to it. I shot many pictures with the Canon, and I have the Canon 6D, 2 of them, for 4 years, and I wanted something else just to try it. And although it was really fun to walk around with it, take pictures of my girlfriend and outside on the street, and it's a really nice experience when you have the screen on the back and you can just tap it and it takes a picture. And also now 2 things. Let me just go into the menu. You have the mechanical shutter and the electronic shutter. Now I show you what I mean. The mechanical shutter will take a picture, how you know it, just and you hear it. Now this is now really slow, so you can go faster, like this. And you can even go faster. You can go up to 14 images per second, 14 frames per second. Then it's like this. And this is really fast. And then, now I find the sound really nice. I think it's a beautiful sound. But if you think it's still too loud for you, maybe you're shooting a wedding and you have a small moment in a small room only with the parents, and it's a lot of emotion in the room. You don't want to enter that emotion and destroy it. You just want to capture it from outside of it. And then you can use the electronic shutter. And what that does, it will make the camera noiseless. So I now take 30 images. Click, 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 click. And you hear nothing. And this is great. I think I can't do it with the Canon. Taking pictures without any sound. Nobody notices that I take a picture. And I can use the touch screen on the back, or look through it, or just click here, and with the face detection, the camera even catches the faces that are in the frame. There are many autofocus points, so this camera gives a lot. And I wanted to like this camera, and I really do. I find it sexy, and I was in the shop some weeks ago, saw this camera, and I thought, man, this is a great camera, maybe I should buy it. And then I thought, I already got it. I already got it, man, what's up with you? And I haven't used it. And the reason why I haven't used it is because I only have this lens, and it's a great lens, but for the Canon I have the 24 1.4 that's filming. I have the 35 1.4 Sigma Art. I have the 50mm 1.2. I have the 85mm 1.2. I have a 24/7 2.8 image stabilize, and the 135mm 2.0. And so whenever I go out and shoot something relevant, I take the Canon. I have two cameras, I can get two lenses, I have a belt, so I carry two cameras at the same time. And that is what I use for work or photo shoots outside of my family. And I feel that the Fuji, just from the instincts, I always took the Canon. And although the Fuji it's a really nice experience to shoot with the screen, I find it takes much longer for me to shoot with the Fuji than to use the Canon. Now, I took many pictures with the Canon 6D. I'm so used to it, it's easy, it's super fast, the camera just works easily. The Fuji is new, it's a different approach because I look onto the screen, and it takes longer for me to use it. So the experience that I have is that the Canon is easier to use for me, and with all the accessories I have, and the lighting, the flash and the strobe, and the accessories I have, the Fuji is just spending time on the shelf here, and I haven't really used it much in the 3 months I got it. I bought it in summer 2017, now it's 2018, and I haven't really used it. I forced me to use it sometime here and there. I said, I have this camera, I take it out now, and I took pictures, but I don't want it to be like this. I don't want to force myself. It should be something that I'd like to do, and I love to go into extremes. So with the 85 1.2, I shoot at 1.2. With the 50 1.2, I shoot at f1.2. And I love the shallow depth of field, and this lens gives me shallow depth of field, but it's no comparison to this lens on the Canon full frame. So I would always use this lens than this. Now, in terms of sharpness, the Fuji is sharper than the Canon. It has a little bit more resolution than the Canon 6D, and there is no AA filter in it. The AA filter, which is in the Canon, makes the images a little bit more smooth and takes the sharpness away, the details. The Fuji has more details and is sharper, but I don't care so much about sharpness. I care about autofocus consistency and accuracy. When the image is in focus, that's fine for me. If it's not so sharp because the lens isn't so sharp or the camera isn't so sharp, that's totally fine. I'm not into sharpness. I don't shoot technically, I shoot emotionally. And these lenses give me just great images. The Fuji lenses also are great, but as I just have one lens, I would have to buy a second body and several lenses and a flash system to make really use of this camera professionally outside of my home and with real shootings. And I'm not there yet, so there is nothing bad about this camera. I can't say anything bad. It looks sexy, it's full of features. You can do so much with it. It has 4K video also. It's easy to use. This camera is very easy and I recommend it to anybody who starts photography. You have the screen in the back, and when you change something, maybe you change here the aperture, you see exactly what it does. So when you learn photography or when you change the shutter speed, you see exactly what happens. The images get darker or brighter, and you see exactly what it does. When you change the white balance, you see what it does. So it's a great camera system to begin with. I feel much sympathy for this camera, for Fuji at all, but it's not for me. It's not mine, and it's also the APS-C sensor that is not mine. I'm more full frame or medium format, and it's nothing bad against this. It's just that this is not my camera for me. Although I feel it's a great camera, but I don't use it. And I'm sad because I bought it, I wanted to have it and use it. I don't use it, so I'm giving it away. I'm selling it, and so I bought another camera, just in comparison, the Hasselblad here, the really big one. It's old. It's much easier shooting with this camera than with this, but this is something for my personal time, and it's a great joy to use it because it doesn't give you images easily. It's really difficult and a challenge to get images with this camera, and that is what I wanted. I didn't want a camera that is easy to use, which this is. I wanted a camera that challenges me. This has many autofocus points. This has 1. This has 14 images per second. This has 1. This is very lightweight. This is very heavy. And so I want the challenge. I want the drama. I want to earn an image by mastering the technology, the camera, the boundaries it gives me. I want boundaries. I want the shooting to be difficult, because the more difficult it is, when the images turn out great, afterwards I feel more success because I mastered the moment. And so this isn't for me. And now this was not what I expect. I read so many reviews, people changing from Canon to Fuji, that I was sure this camera will stick with me. And I'm surprised in a sad way that it didn't make click with me. But what I also found is that you don't always need new things and new stuff. And just recently I came across 2 photographers that are very well known, and I saw their equipment and I thought, what is this? There's a series on Netflix called Abstract, where famous designers are followed. So it's a documentary about designers, a car designer, a shoe designer for Nike, and a photographer. And the photographer is called Platon. The series with him begins, and he's shooting with a Leica M6 analog camera. And I know Leica, the models. There's the M6, M7, M8, M9, M240, MP, M262, M10. These are all the models that came after the M6. And I thought, why? Now this is a new series, Abstract. Why is he using the M6 when he could have gotten the M9? Why does he use an old camera? The M6 is very cheap on eBay. Leica usually isn't cheap. And I couldn't understand it, because when I look at his images, and I will show you some images here. Now, I didn't take these images, these were taken by Platon, but I just show you so you get an understanding of who that person is. And he takes pictures two ways: reportage with the Leica and portraits with the old Hasselblad analog camera. 10, 20, 30, 40 years old. It's a really old camera. You can get it on eBay rather cheap. And I found it interesting that somebody who photographs the presidents and super famous people, that he uses old equipment, which is outdated, and probably many photographers who begin today have a more expensive camera than he. And that is crazy, because when you have an important job, shooting the president, you want to do it the best you can, and he's using old equipment. And I first didn't understand. I thought, why? He can afford everything. He can afford the greatest stuff, the most expensive stuff, and he uses the old things on film, not even digital. And then I thought, wait a minute, he does it now for so long, that is his style. He has a white or black background, a box where the people sit on, one flash with one umbrella, and his Hasselblad analog medium format camera. And this setup is always the same for all the portraits he takes. And that turned out to be his style. So it's not that he uses an old camera, that is his style. And I found that fascinating. When you are on a level where you can afford everything and you just say no, when you don't give in to the new and hot stuff of the moment, when you just say, I have what I need and I'm fine with it. I don't need more megapixels, more dynamic range, more this, more autofocus, more that. I stick to the analog. And that is crazy. And there's another photographer, really famous. He's from this city, from Bremen, Vincent Peters. And I again show you some images. I haven't taken these images, I just show you so you have an understanding of who that person is and what the quality of his work looks like. And he was asked, what camera do you use for all your shootings? And he says, I had a Mamiya camera when I was 17 and I still shoot with it today. And I thought, wow, man, he shoots the most famous celebrities. And he uses it, now he's over 40, 45 maybe. And he uses a camera that he got when he was a teenager. And I thought, man, this is such a crazy work ethic. It's so crazy to master one thing and stick with it. And he made it his style. He was asked, which lenses do you use? He says, I only use one lens. All images you see are shot with one lens. The 110mm f2.8, the standard lens that's coming with the camera. The Mamiya RB or RZ67 with the 110 f2.8. And I thought, he uses the camera now for 25 years. That is crazy. And I bought this medium format camera, the Hasselblad Digital, from a photographer in Hamburg, and he said his daily rate was 15,000 euros. That was his income for one day of work. And when I look him up, I find some portraits of important people in Germany, but Vincent Peters is on another level. He has the top of the top from America, the most famous people everybody knows. It's a different level, and I think financially it's a different level. He's probably way above 15,000 a day. And when you're on that level, you can afford the most expensive stuff. And he shoots with the camera he had when he was 17. And this is so crazy. And what I learned from these two photographers and from my experience with the Fuji is that I don't need something new. I can use what I have. This camera has now taken 800,000 images in 4 years, and there are cracks inside the screens. All this falls apart, and but the camera still works. And I say, you know what? I still use it. I could buy any new camera now, and probably I should for the next season. But I think it's a great inspiration for others as well, when you stick to one thing and use it and master it and make something with it, instead of always going for the new stuff. Because I believe the experience that you have with the camera, that will determine the quality of the images. So for example, I have different lenses with different price tags. In euros it's 1,300, 900, 900, 740, 1,800 and 100. And I have taken more images with the 51.8 than with all other lenses together. And if I had to shoot a wedding with one lens, I would just take this lens and I would get great images with it, because I have so much experience with this little lens, more than with any other lens. And I believe that the quality and the success of your photography will come from your experience with your gear. And when you change your gear very often, you probably will not build up that strong relationship with that one equipment. And you might not be as deep with the gear you have than a photographer who always and only uses the same things. One camera, a couple of lenses, maybe one lens. There's another photographer I just get to know, Paul Ripke, and he uses a Leica, and always, for everything he does, 24mm f1.4 lens, the Leica. Whatever he does, he goes out with one lens only, no matter where he goes. And that turned out to be his style. And he mastered it so well that very few people can get images like he does. Because he's done it so often with one lens. And this is my final opinion result from the time with the Fuji, that I don't need a new camera. I don't need new things, more stuff, the hot and spicy and new thing. I can get great results with what I have already, and I hope that you get something from this video. Instead of looking for reviews of new cameras and lenses and think about the future, one day I have this, one day I have this, create now with what you have. And this is the 50mm 1.8 and this is the 50mm 1.2. The difference in image result is not so much. And when you desire this one, you can create everything you want with this one. This will not give you much more. This is enough. There is no photo shoot where you say, oh, I can't do it because I don't have the expensive lens. Use what you have, master it, and make it your style. Thank you very much.